Your son comes home with a woman who has 3 children by 3 different men. Are you going to encourage him to date her?
Said I'm gonna love who he loves. If she's doing him right, I have no.
Are you going to encourage that relationship, Nay?
How's she doing in life now? What does she got?
Nay, listen. I know we fool around sometimes, but there's girls watching you now.
I don't care. I'm telling you, if she's doing well in her life, she's
a woman who has 3 children by 3 different men. You call that doing well?
Huh?
You call that doing?
It may not affect her life. She still may be accomplished. She still may have lived out her dream. She still may be raising her kids correctly. She could be a good mom. That don't determine who she is.
I need everybody to listen to this. This woman just said a woman having 3 children by 3 different men doesn't determine who she is.
It doesn't. That means she made some mistakes in life like everybody else.
Stop calling those mistakes. Those were decisions. Miss Lori, I have a question for you. Tell me how your night is going.
Hello, it's going well. Thanks.
So I have a question for you.
Okay.
You have an amazing son. And this guy, you're just crazy about him.
Right.
He comes home one day and he tells you, Mom, I just met this girl today. She has 3 children by 3 different men. Would you encourage that relationship?
No, and he wouldn't do it. He knows that.
Nay, stop. Nay, stop. Let me say something. Nay, that is a life setback for a man. That is a life setback. The average African-American man only makes around $46,000 a year. And you're going to put 3 other people's kids on top of his salary, on top of what he'll need to do for her? You are setting that boy back in life.
She may make more than him because she learned from her mistakes and doing better in life.
How many stories like that do we have, Nay?
You got one up here.
Oh, now I see where all this. Okay, I see where this is coming from.
I make more than half the people I date half the time.
So let me ask you this. Do you believe that that's the same case for majority of African American women who have 3 children by 3 different men? Do you believe that? I asked you a question. Do you believe the majority of the black girls in the black community who have 3 children by 3 different men, do you believe everything turned out all right and they rebounded from it?
I don't know statistics, but I know the people that in my circle and people that I've been around, they have multiple kids and they're doing just fine in life. They're doing better than half these men I know.
How many of them are married, Nay?
They're single.
This is what I want all of you to understand. This woman believes being a single woman in a 2-income society is doing all right. And that's the problem, people.
So they can't be doing all right because they're not married? You have to have a man to be doing all right in life.
I have a question. In America, whose lives are more prominent in the United States? Who typically has the better lives? And I said typically. Is it married couples or single women?
That depends on the dang on person because you could be married and miserable.
Nay, don't be goofy, okay?
You could be married and miserable. I mean, you could have a good life and not be.
Nay, stop it. You're being childish and you know it.
I'm being for real. Like
I didn't ask you about people who were getting beat up. I asked you a question.
I'm not saying about them being beat up. They could just be miserable with their partner. They don't like who they with.
Okay, Nay. So since you want to throw that in there, they tell us that you guys are miserable and you're single. So what are you talking about? You guys are on these platforms every day. You guys are on these platforms every day, spewing out hatred, wishing death upon men. What's wrong with you? So if those married women are miserable, you're no better off. You're even worse because at least they got sense enough. At least they have sense enough to not be paying their bills by themselves.
What's wrong with paying your bills by yourself?
I can't let you contaminate these young girls.
I'm just saying.
Miss Lori.
Yes.
Say something to me with that soft voice.
Well, you asked the question about, and you guys were talking about a man dating a woman who already has children and how that is a negative for him. I am a witness, and that's all I wanted to say tonight. It is a big deterrent in that I was going out after my daughter's father and I broke up, my high school sweetheart term relationship. Next thing you know, well, long term, but I was around 25, 26, but we had been together since like junior high. And I was dating someone and didn't tell them that I had a daughter because back in the day, that was still, I'm 62. It was still
Hey, you guys hear this woman? This woman is telling you when it was frowned upon, when you got shamed for this.
yes.
And that's what everybody says we're missing out on.
That's because men.
Stop interrupting people when they're talking, Nay. Stop it.
You right.
Go ahead, Miss Lori.
At that time, I was very successful, Nay, at a very young age, and most of the men I dated, I made more money than them, and sometimes it was a problem, but that's just a sidebar. So, in the beginning, I told someone that I had a daughter. It was a turnoff, but one time I was going out with this guy, and I'm telling you, when I looked at him at church, I fell in love that day in my own little weak mind. And I thought, wow. And everything about him seemed perfect. We went out. I didn't tell him for a long time that I had kids. I was just enjoying him. And
Can I ask you a question?
Hold on. You can let her finish, Nay.
Can we dialogue?
Go ahead, Miss Lori. Go ahead, Miss Lori.
was probably we had gone out several times, and finally I said I had a daughter. He was an attorney, and he didn't have any children, and he was just building his life. He had just moved to Kalamazoo, Michigan, and had joined a prestigious law firm there. And when I said I had a kid, it's like, because he was bubbly, he was laughing. I thought I was really, I'm finally in there. I got somebody who really likes me. It was going somewhere. And it seemed like he was in this bubble. When I said I had a kid, it literally looked like he melted and slid. You know how you're at a restaurant and you're in a bar, you're at the...
Slide down in the booth.
It seems like May. It seems like he literally, I let the air out of that man. And at that point, I realized it was a problem.
But
Okay.
you know what? That's
Hold on, Nay. You'll have your turn, Nay.
we're dialoguing.
Nay, stop it.
I'm done, sweetheart. Let her go ahead.
Listen.
Do you realize that's not a man that was gonna truly love you for you anyway?
You see how they do, Miss Lori? Now they have to shame the man for not wanting to make that decision. And that's what's effed up.
Men want women with their kids. They want that perfect nuclear family where there's a man, a woman, and his two children. I wasn't mad at him. That's why I didn't tell him right away. I thought...
She knew already.
Yeah, I know.
Listen, do you know that in the Lion Kingdom, they off the cubs?
I have never.
When they take over a pride, they off the cubs.
Okay, but now we're talking about what...
I'm saying it is natural for males to feel like that. It's natural. We don't date you. We conquer you. We take you and make you ours. But now, here's the crazy part. Until that child grows old enough to be on their own, I, as the man, and I want everybody to listen to this, I, as the man, who you guys say it's my duty to provide for you and be willing to die for you, will never become your number one priority. That is effed up. I gotta be willing to die for somebody who I'm not their number one priority. That is effed up.
But see, my thing is, I can agree. If a man doesn't have kids, then I agree. People that don't have kids should date people that don't have kids. I agree with that. But majority of these men do.
Their kids do not affect your life.
I've never encountered a man that has kids.
Nay, you're just being childish, and everybody knows it.
I'm just saying.
You're being childish.
And then the other thing, you have to be married or have to have a man to be happy. That means you don't have the happiness within yourself. If your happiness depends, it depends on another person.
Miss Lori,
Yes,
what is your faith?
I'm a Christian non-denominational now.
What did God create a woman for?
To be a helpmeet to a man.
So, Nave, what you're saying sounds crazy as hell. Yes, we are your purpose. Everything that the world claims about women is attached to men.